Greenlake Park was not large, just a stretch of wooded paths, a small lake with reeds curling at its edges, and the children's playground that creaked in the wind. By day, it was ordinary, even charming. Couples walked dogs, joggers traced the same dirt paths, children scattered breadcrumbs to ducks. But once the sun fell, the park changed. The trees became a canopy of shadows, the lamps along the path flickered like failing sentinels, and the silence of the night seemed to breathe. It was there, in those hours when decent people stayed indoors, that the hunter prowled. Nobody ever saw him clearly, at least not at first. The victims were discovered in the mornings, sometimes sprawled across the path, sometimes dragged into the undergrowth. Always the same marks, deep incisions, deliberate and cold, as if he took his time. Women mostly, occasionally a man, young or middle-aged, never elderly. It didn't matter who. At first, the police dismissed the murders as isolated tragedies, random violence, a mugging gone wrong, an argument that spiraled into rage. But when the fourth body was found within 6 months, left posed unnaturally near the swings, people started whispering, Greenlake had a predator. Detective Richard Hale had been on the force for nearly 20 years when the case first landed on his desk. He'd seen horrors, gang shootings, domestic massacres, suicides, but something about Greenlake chilled him deeper. The victims had nothing in common: different jobs, backgrounds, lifestyles. No sexual assault, no robbery. The killer didn't take wallets or jewelry. He only left wounds. Precise, controlled, almost surgical. "We're not dealing with rage," Hale told his partner one night, shuffling crime scene photos across the desk. "This is ritual. This guy's rehearsing something." Forensics scraped what they could from the bodies, trace fibers, fragments of skin under fingernails, but the hunter left almost nothing behind. He knew how to disappear. And disappear he did. For months at a time, the park would fall silent, and people would breathe easier. Then, without warning, another body appeared. Panic returned, headlines screamed, the mayor demanded action. But Hale and his team always found themselves staring at dead ends. The media dubbed him the Hunter of Greenlake. By the third year, Greenlake Park was nearly abandoned after dark. Mothers wouldn't let their children near it, joggers changed routes, teenagers whispered dares about sneaking in at midnight, but never truly did. The city council debated closing the park entirely, but nothing happened. For those who lived near Greenlake, life became suffocating. Curtains were drawn tight at night, the sound of footsteps outside could freeze a family mid-sentence. Some believed the killer wasn't human. Rumors of a phantom, a demon haunting the park, spread like fire. The brutality seemed beyond ordinary cruelty. But Hale never entertained superstition. "He's flesh and blood," he reminded reporters grimly, "and he'll make a mistake. They always do." Only 2 people ever survived encounters with the hunter. The first was a young man, a college student walking home late after drinking with friends. He heard footsteps behind him on the gravel path. At first, he thought it was another jogger. Then he noticed the silence. The footsteps matched his perfectly, stopping when he stopped, resuming when he resumed. When he finally turned, a man in dark clothing lunged at him, blade glinting under the broken lamplight. Instinct saved him. He swung his backpack into the attacker's face and bolted. He never saw the man's features, only a pale blur, but he swore the eyes were flat, cold, lifeless. The second survivor was a woman, though survivor was generous. She was stabbed 3 times before passers-by stumbled upon the scene and scared the attacker away. She lived, but barely, and could only describe her assailants as tall, wearing gloves, face hidden by a hood. 2 encounters, 2 shadows, no clear description. A strange thing happened after year 7. The killing slowed. Greenlake breathed again. Families returned, though cautiously. Joggers tested the paths. The city relaxed. Hale, however, never trusted it. "He hasn't stopped," he told his new recruits. "He's waiting, changing tactics, or he's somewhere else doing the same thing under another name. Indeed, murders with similar wounds cropped up in nearby towns, but never frequent enough to link conclusively. Forensics had only fragments of DNA, never a full profile. Technology advanced, but the hunter stayed one step ahead. Hale aged through the investigation. His hair grayed, his body thickened, but he refused retirement. The hunter had become his life's pursuit. Then, one autumn morning, 10 years after the first body, the killing stopped altogether. No one knew why. The case went cold, files gathered dust, new detectives shrugged at the legend. Greenlake Park reopened fully, though the nickname stuck. People whispered still, but fear dulled into folklore. Hale retired reluctantly, haunted by failure. "He's out there," he muttered often. "He just stopped. Killers like that don't stop." And he was right. It wasn't until nearly 20 years after the first murder that the truth emerged. At St. Mary's Hospice, a middle-aged man named Daniel Krieger lay dying of stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He was gaunt, his skin yellowed, his eyes sunken with pain and morphine. He had no family, few visitors. Only the nurses heard his ramblings at night. One nurse, young and impressionable, grew uneasy. He whispered of blood, of the woods, of the thrill of silence breaking under a blade. At first, she dismissed it as delirium. But the details, specific streets, the description of Greenlake's broken lamps, the gurgling sound of lungs filling with blood were too precise. She reported it quietly. The police reopened the file. Detective Hale, old but not yet gone, received the call. He drove to the hospice, hands trembling on the wheel. When he entered Krieger's room, he saw only a husk of a man. But when their eyes met, something familiar froze him. "Detective," Krieger croaked, lips curling weakly, "you've chased me a long time." Hale felt his throat dry. "It was you." Krieger nodded, wheezing. "I thought I'd die in the park, blade in my hand. But this," he tapped his wasted chest, "this kills slower." "Why?" Hale asked, his voice breaking with decades of rage. Krieger coughed, spat phlegm into a tissue. "Because I could. Because no one stopped me. You all walk around thinking you're safe, thinking rules protect you. But in the dark, in the silence, you belong to me." His eyes glistened. "And you never caught me." He smiled, as if that was victory. Hale clenched his fists, torn between fury and the futility of justice. There would be no trial, no cell, no handcuffs. The cancer was finishing what the law could not. Krieger died 3 days later. When the news broke, the city reeled. The Hunter of Greenlake had been no phantom, no legend, just a man, quiet and unassuming, living a double life until his body betrayed him. Some felt relief, others felt cheated. There would be no closure for the families, no confession of names, no chance to ask why their loved ones were chosen. Only silence. Detective Hale attended the cremation, standing in the back as a box of ashes disappeared into flame. He thought of the victims, of the years lost, of the nights he'd stared at files while his own family drifted away from him. Justice, he realized, didn't always come in a courtroom. Sometimes it came from disease, from time, from fate itself. But it never felt enough. And Greenlake Park? It still stood. Children played by day, couples strolled, joggers ran. But when night fell, the shadows seemed deeper. The hunter was gone, yes, but fear, once planted, never truly dies. Somewhere in the dusty police archives, under case file GLP 7394, sits a note in Hale's writing. Daniel Krieger, deceased, confessed verbally. Case closed, but never solved. Because in truth, the wounds left by a predator are not only carved into flesh, they are carved into memory, into the silence of a park after dark, into the hearts of those who walk past trees and wonder if I still watch them from the shadows.